Hi everyone, how are you? How have you been? Wishing you all a very happy new year. 2022 has been a roller coaster ride for me. Not sure about you. I'm sure that you might have undergone similar stuff in 2022 as well. So much was going on, right? Those things are still going on, but we have grown, isn't it? So today I'm going to be reading chapter number 2 from my book, which is Visions from Beyond, your guide to spiritual awakening, self-healing, how to recognize and work with your psychic abilities. And this is available as a PDF on my link in bio and also on Amazon store, but I don't have the link to particular country, so you can DM me. Hi everyone, how are you? So I'll be beginning this live by reading this chapter, and then we will continue on to any discussion that comes up. Okay, so chapter number 2 in my book Visions from Beyond is the process of spiritual awakening. So the process of spiritual awakening has certain stages. It's like a cycle. It goes on again and again. It repeats itself. So the beginning of a spiritual awakening cycle is always from a kind of ego dissolution, and I haven't mentioned that as a separate chapter, as a separate heading under this chapter, which I will update in the new version next year or this year. So it starts from ego dissolution, but when that happens, what happens? When ego dissolution happens, you enter into a stage of the awakening or initiation. So it's a part of your awakening, it's a part of your initiation, and that is the first point on the cycle here, the topmost one. So when awakening begins, you may feel disconnected from others, right? That's the first thing that comes up. You no longer relate to your friends, you no longer relate to your family, you no longer relate to your old habits. You will start asking questions such as, who am I? What is my purpose? Is there life after death? Right? All these questions start popping up in your head. And I'm sure all of us have thought about these questions at least at one point in our lives, and that might have come by on its own, or it would have been initiated by an event such as a death or an accident or something. So when we ask this, a new reality will become apparent to you that exists beyond your perception of 3D. So when we begin asking these questions, you will also be getting answers to these questions, but not everyone is open to that. Yes, old reality shatters, self-reflection starts. Yes, that is the awakening stage, the initiation stage of spiritual awakening. And when we begin receiving answers from the universe, they may be in the form of certain thoughts, certain type of knowledge that drops into your mind from nowhere, or it may be certain people that you meet, or certain events that you attend, or certain nowadays videos that you watch, right? And you will start becoming aware of a separate reality which exists beyond our 3D reality, right? And for me, I also always had spiritual experiences from my childhood, but I always kept pushing them to the side, because all of us are dragged away from our realities from our childhood, beginning from our birth. If we have past life recalls as a child, we are told to just shut up and not talk about them to anyone, right? So like that. So when we grow up, the school system also pushes everything back, and we are told to think in a very scientific way and a very objective way, and we lose our creativity, we lose our touch with the spiritual self. And For me, that was always present in the background. It didn't turn off, but I was the one ignoring it. And I kept ignoring it until the point it became so loud, so big, that there was no way that I could say that no, this is something in my mind happening. Maybe I'm schizophrenic, maybe I'm having hallucinations. So it became so big that I could not deny it, and it also started involving other people. So it became quite apparent to me that this is real, right? So that there is another world other than our 3D world. So it is possible that these changes were prompted by paranormal, psychic, spiritual, or traumatic experiences, as stated in the previous chapter. So in the previous chapter, in the first chapter, I discuss about what kind of events can precipitate or initiate such changes in your thinking or in your mind. Having some throat things. So you will begin evaluating yourself in terms of purpose, actions in the past, present, and future. So awakening also means that you will begin evaluating yourself in terms of your actions in the past. So you might have done something wrong to somebody unintentionally or intentionally in the past, and everyone has done that at some point. And you begin evaluating that, right? You begin thinking that what I did in 2009 to that person wasn't right, so maybe I should apologize to them. And then you might connect to that person and apologize to them, or you don't. You just sit here in your own bubble and apologize to their higher self, right? Whatever it is, you begin to get awakened to certain things, certain actions of yours in the past or present and in the future as well. So let's say that you were planning to pursue a career that did not resonate with you until now, but since you've been awakened to this new reality, now you're like, no, I won't pursue this career because this is being forced upon me from somebody else, and this is not what I want. So you change your direction, right? So you can also evaluate yourself in terms of future actions, right? So the second stage that comes is awareness and identification of needs. So after initiation, awakening, you become aware of your needs and you identify what your needs are. So as you become more aware of what needs healing, you begin to identify those areas. Some of these may be health related, emotional, mental, financial, or relationship related. So let's say that you had a health issue from so long, and on awakening, on your spiritual awakening, you start thinking about that health issue more, and you start exploring more about the spiritual side or the energy side of that health issue, or even just the physical side, and you become aware that, oh, perhaps this is happening because I am eating a lot of sugar throughout the day, right? Or perhaps this is happening because I'm midnight snacking every single night. Perhaps this is happening because I don't exercise at all, right? Or perhaps I should look into my energy side, since I have tried everything on the physical side and nothing is working, right? So you become more aware of your needs, whatever they are. Yes, awareness starts developing on what is it that you need to heal, not just health, but your mental, financial, and relationship issues. So financial issues may be that perhaps you are having so much of a self-doubt, or you might be self-sabotaging by limiting beliefs, or you might be having low confidence. So you begin to work on those things, right? And relationship related, maybe you are holding so much anger towards somebody, and you are not forgiving someone. So you start becoming aware of those things that need to be healed, right? So awareness of programmed self, yes. So that programmed self is the self that was programmed by everything outside, externally, right? And after you become aware of your needs, you start to reprogram yourself, right? So the limiting beliefs you hold that require reprogramming become apparent. For self-expansion, you start identifying the need to change your habits, environment, company, etc. So not just your habits, you might be forced to change your habits, not just habits, to change your environment. So let's say that you are living at home with your parents, and for example, this is very common that parents might not be supportive of your career choices or your habits, those habits being productive ones, right? And you want to you become aware of the need to move out now, because you need to change your environment in order to express your best self, right? And that happened with me. I was not being supported at home, but also in the area where I was studying, in North India. Basically, my parents were like, you have to go to college in North India only. But having experience with South Indian teachers in my graduation college and hearing everything about South Indian colleges during my whole 5 years, I was like, no, I want to go to South India for my masters. And my parents were totally against that, and I fought with them, and I still went. I got the rank. I took the test, I got the rank, I went there, and that opened up a whole new world for me, and I achieved so much. When I went to Bangalore, those were the best 2 years of my life, by the way. So you begin becoming aware of things that you need to change, and in your heart you feel the need to seek healing and guidance to forgive those who wronged you in the past. So even if you were holding grudges, you feel the need to forgive them or resolve things with them. The universe speaks directly to you. Now at this point, when you become aware of your needs, the universe will start speaking directly to you, in the sense that you might start having ideas, or you might start getting automatically directed into places or articles, blogs, or people who are going to help you take the next step. And that next step might be anything. It could be just a small direction that you need to change. And that used to happen a lot at the beginning of my spiritual awakening. Like, random people just used to come to me and tell me to go somewhere, or random people would come up to me on the street and just blow my mind with something they told me, and I was like, oh my god, right? So these things, that was like extreme. But you might also start having subtle things happening to you, such as angel numbers, and the urge to read a certain book that was at the back of your mind, but you didn't read it yet. So you feel special at this time, but also humbled, right? You feel special because certainly the universe is paying attention to you, it's communicating with you. But you also feel humbled because that is such a big thing to happen suddenly, all of a sudden in your life. So it is important to not let yourself be carried away by an unhealthy spiritual ego when this happens. So I have seen many people who at this stage, when they begin communicating with the universe, they start developing an unhealthy spiritual ego. Now there is an healthy ego and there is an unhealthy ego, and I have put the differences of those in this book, but it's also on my Instagram. If you scroll down to my feed, you can find it. So the healthy, I'll actually just explain it here. Unhealthy ego is when you identify only with a fixed earthly identity and resent when you lose it. So let's say that you were, take my example, okay? If I was a doctor, I worked so hard, for 10 plus years, studied and researched and served so many patients and took so much flack from my seniors, that was very, very tough 10 years. And all of a sudden, you are forced to leave it all and pursue a new path. Now, one person could feel resentful at this point, resentful of God, resentful of universe. Why did you do this to me? Why did you take it away from me? And go into depression and not being able to come out of that. And that is okay. Some people are going to end up there, but the important thing is to recognize that and take help and get out of that. So other people who have been focusing on developing a healthy ego from the start would understand why such a change has happened in their life. and they might need to grieve, they might need to process all those emotions, and that's okay, but they will be doing it in a much healthier way, and they will be able to recognize when they need to pivot in life, right? So a healthy ego is knowing when you are knowing that you are a soul, and your dharma which can be fulfilled in various ways. So as a soul, everyone has a dharma. That dharma is not religion. Dharma is you can say the act or the things that you are here to do on earth, and they might have a theme, or they might be completely varied, right? Somebody might be a spiritual teacher and a DJ at the same time, right? So you can be a lot of things, and it depends on what makes your soul sing, right? So you can do that in many different ways. For example, why did I want to be a doctor from the beginning, right? As a child, because I saw my parents, they were helping people, and I was like, oh, I also want to help people, and that also comes from my soul, that I want to help people with my knowledge, and because I am good at gathering knowledge, I can help them by providing that knowledge to them, that they cannot gather themselves, maybe. So, or I will help them with the knowledge that I have as a doctor, give them the medicine or whatever. So when that was taken away from me, I was like, okay, so that is not going to happen. Now what else can I do to do the same thing in the world, right? So then things automatically started coming to me. So the theme is service, right? I can do service to the world in various ways. And now I am in an internship where we are using all our skills to build solutions for different types of people, right? Those solutions could be providing education to indigenous children in the very remote areas of Canada, right? So it's again service, but through a different route, and through a route that I also enjoy, right? I also enjoy the process. So Aryan says, well done, it's easier said than done to go through such a drastic change in life. Exactly, it is. That is because we are so hard attached to our egos, not hardly, so hard attached to our egos. It is difficult to let go of that, right? Because we have been developing our ego from childhood. Since childhood we have been, I'm going to be a doctor, now I'm studying for being a doctor, now I have done my graduation, now I've done my masters, now it is such a big time gap, and when suddenly it is taken away, obviously you are going to be shattered completely, right? And that is the purpose of a spiritual awakening. It is to completely shatter you from your old ego. That is what ego dissolution is, right? So unhealthy ego is also inflating your strengths and fearing your weaknesses. So when someone has unhealthy ego, they are going to be just talking about their strengths all the time to everyone, and they aren't going to show their weaknesses at all. And that is what is acceptable in society at this time, right? And someone says the awakening is predetermined in soul contracts before birth. Exactly, yes. Much of our life is predetermined, and if we begin to resist that, then it just leads to more and more inner turmoil, right? Then healthy ego is working on your strengths and accepting your weaknesses as they are, or opportunities to grow. So someone who has a healthy ego will know that yes, I am good at these things and I can talk about it, but I also know my weaknesses, and I also know that those weaknesses can also be strengths in some ways. And for example, if you say someone is an introvert, they cannot be a salesperson. No, that's wrong, because to be a good salesperson, you need to have very good listening skills. And sometimes being a good salesperson means listening more and talking less, right? So those things that you consider as weaknesses might not be weaknesses at all, right? Or they might be opportunities to grow. You might say that, okay, I am bad at writing English, so let me just improve that. So once you improve on that, all your other skills can also be put to use, right? So unhealthy ego is superiority complex based on your appearance, status, achievements, or talents. Again, that is a very three-dimensional way of thinking, that only appearance or financial status or social status or talents or achievements matter and not the person that you are, right? That is unhealthy ego. Healthy ego is respecting everyone regardless of these things. So someone said that you can know what kind of a person someone is by the way they treat animals. So because animals don't have any achievements, animals are not going to earn you money, animals are not going to study and get a degree. So if you still love a random animal on the road in the same way that you would love someone with very high achievements, it shows that you have a healthy ego in that regards, right? So unhealthy ego is thinking that you are the expert who knows everything. Now I see that in people who become very highly educated very commonly, not everyone, but yeah, many people who become very highly educated and then they think that they know everything. And when someone comes forward, let's say their student comes forward and tells them something new or challenges their way of thinking, they become very, very harsh, and they can be harsh to their own children and own family as well. And that is something that needs to go, because as a human we will always need to keep learning. We will be learning throughout our lives. So being coachable is a very big skill or a very big value that everyone should have. And even as an expert, you should be coachable by someone who is seemingly lower than you in education, or and that person does not have to be an expert. They might come up with such a unique point of perspective that you might have never thought about before, right? So Majestic 5 says, this is so true, treating the voiceless right is the foundation on one's character. Yes. So if you have pets, you will notice that they have their own way of thinking. You can hear them in the background. I cannot shut them down and they will keep shouting if they want to. So they have their own lives, they have their own ego, they have their own boundaries. For example, if you want to touch these parakeets, they will not allow you to touch them if they don't want to. So they will only allow you to touch them when they are in the mood to be petted, right? So you have to respect that. You have to be able to respect that. And unhealthy ego is taking up a false identity to fit in or to impress others. So that is also a very big thing. When you see people in schools, in colleges, in order to fit in, they take up a false identity. So healthy ego is staying authentic, also on social media, right? Unhealthy ego is hiding self-expression for fear of self-judgments. So also, if you are hiding self-expression, so let's take an example of what is considered as cringe on social media, right? There are so many things that when you post, you think that, oh my god, people are going to think that this is so cringe. And I have had comments like that on my content also. People just comment, so cringe, and I'm like, okay, it is cringe for you, but sorry, I cannot please everyone. So it's healthy ego is expressing fearlessly regardless of what anyone says. So even if it is cringe, even if it is anything, just expressing freely. And the extreme of that would be Mr. Andrew Tate, right? The extreme of that would be that. So yeah, expressing fearlessly but also being coachable. So Andrew Tate is not coachable at all, right? So unhealthy ego is trying to change or hide a natural flaw to be accepted in society. So that is also a big thing, because let's say that you have a lot of acne marks like me on your face, and you want to appear in public, you would always become very self-conscious and you would try to hide that with makeup or something. Some people are having a very valid argument against that we are building a society that is built upon hiding our flaws, when they are not flaws. They are just things that exist, and they can also be beautiful, and we don't need to hide them. So a healthy ego is when you don't care about it, when you accept yourself with the good, the bad, the ugly, in apostrophes, in quotes. Why? Because nothing is bad, nothing is ugly, but it's just the perception. So in spite of that, if you express yourself freely, you will gather those people who like you for who you are, right? Instead of gathering a fake audience on social media who like you for your fakeness, you can have an audience that actually like you for who you really are. So hierarchy drops, everything is seen equal. Yes, and I am seeing hierarchy drop in corporate structures as well now. I have seen that people are more, before it used to be a waterfall organization, like CEO has to tell something to the vice president, the president, and the president has to tell something to the vice president, then it will go down to the managers, and then it will go down to the, people at the bottom. But now I have seen corporate structures are all at one level. The place where I used to work before, the CEO used to come at our desk and chat with us directly. So it's like you can talk with the CEO about anything. So everything is at the same table at this point in most of corporate structures who are adapting to the new world right now. So someone's looks can change, but not their aura, right? Aura can also change if they work on themselves, but I know, I understand what you mean here. Someone's looks can change, so our looks always change from our childhood to old age. We are going to get old, and then we're not going to be so beautiful as a standard of the society, right? Then what will you do? So it is better to pay more attention to the person. External validation no longer appeals. Yes, so most of us live with external validation up to a major point in our lives. So unhealthy ego is not trying because of your perceived limitation. Once again, you think that you are limited by so and so and so things, so let me just not try because I cannot do it. That's unhealthy ego. Knowing that most things can be changed if you try is healthy ego. So let's say you do have some kind of limitations, but knowing that you can still overcome them or still manage them in some way that makes it work for you is healthy ego, and finding out the solutions, right? So unhealthy ego is ignoring your health for career or treating yourself well only when you feel like you deserve it. I've seen that in so many people, right? Their job or their business is taking up all their lives, and yet they are like, no, I'm only doing this for my children. But your children need you right now. Your children need this time right now while growing up, and that is where you have to come to a balance. You have to do something that you're able to balance everything, and not everyone can do that. It is difficult, but still it depends on what do you value more. Do you value your children, your health more, or do you value just that facade of working on something for your children? So there are many ways you can do things, so you have to be creative there. Healthy ego is taking care and treating yourself well at all times. So healthy ego is when you take care of yourself regardless of your achievements. So you celebrate every other day just like you celebrate your birthday. You let yourself relax every single day as if it's the weekend, right? Maybe in the evenings. So unhealthy ego is being disappointed with yourself when you fail. Once again, being so attached to the concept of failure. By the way, nothing is a failure. Everything is a redirection, or everything is a learning opportunity. Everything, if you haven't failed in life, you won't reach the point that you want to reach. And I don't want to drill that in, that you think that I have to fail before succeeding. No, you don't have to, but if it happens, it is a good thing, right? So healthy ego is loving and supporting yourself at all times regardless of what happens, and that same goes for other people. Loving and supporting your other people, family, friends at all times. So unhealthy ego is deeply identifying with your past. Healthy ego is learning from the past and connecting with your true self. right? The same thing. So unhealthy ego is making decisions based on past fears, experiences, and beliefs. Now we are programmed to do that because we have evolved from lower animals. We still have the primal brain. So when we are working from a fear state of fight and flight, that is when we make decisions based on past fears, experiences, and beliefs. Only when we are healed enough and calmed down, only when we know how to bring ourselves to that state before making a big decision, is when we can make healthy decisions, right? So healthy ego is knowing that you have the power to consciously co-create your reality. So even when everything is predetermined, it is not predetermined in the sense that you will work in this company. No, it is predetermined in the sense that you will be serving people, sharing knowledge on perhaps this region of area, whatever. So it's like that. Then the next stage in spiritual awakening is learning or leveling up stage. Transition to 5D from 3D. Yes, I would say that is happening. That has started happening in the second stage. But when you learn and level up in this stage, this is a time when it actually begins really showing up. 4D or 5D even. So you may want to learn from a trusted source and various spiritual practices, techniques, courses to deepen your understanding and gain more knowledge. You try to find the teacher or guru who is meant for you. So at this stage you are like, I have to take up a course to further my spiritual progress, and it might be Reiki. For me the first course was past life regression therapy. I straight away jumped into something so advanced, and then I had to take a step back. I learned Reiki, and Reiki helped me heal myself first before trying to serve other people. I hadn't done that before trying to serve other people, right? So you may look into the teachings and practices of religions. A new religion might speak to you, or you could choose a religionless path to spirituality. So there are so many paths to where you want to go, and you begin exploring those. You begin learning what is good for you. So one thing that may be good for the other person might not be good for you. You may take your hybrid path by incorporating principles from various religious and spiritual teachings, or you might become an atheist who believes in the power within yourself to be in the driver's seat of your life. So I was an atheist for some years during my schooling. That is because I was facing so much on the external side, things that were not in my control. And in order to not depend on something external to give me power, I was like, there is no God, I will do everything on myself. I became like hyper independent. That also exists still today, and I'm trying to work on that. So I became an atheist, but then it was shattered, even though I was still having my psychic experiences. So when that thing became very big is when that was shattered, and I had to believe in like this energy, God, because all of that was being shown to me. So you can be an atheist as well. That's not wrong, because you are also God, and if you believe in yourself, that's all that you need, right? If you have a healthy ego, right? So you incorporate the teachings into your life and make room for more. In the initial stages, healing happens rapidly in all spheres and your life changes. So in the initial stages, when you begin raising your consciousness, you will see that changes will happen so rapidly that you might get traumatized by some things, because your life changed so fast. And that is because you are rapidly changing your level of consciousness. And that happened to me too. And now I am like on a cruise control at a particular level of consciousness, and I don't see many changes happening even when I engage in so many spiritual practices. And sometimes I'm like, why am I not seeing any changes? But then I have to remind myself that I am already at a very good stage, and at this point in my life, I don't need to go any higher. So if I'm doing everything, I should be, good. I should not worry about seeing any changes or anything like that. So there might be some events that feel devastating to you at this time. For example, you may lose a job, you may lose people, friends might start just acting weird all of a sudden, family might reject you, and you might have to leave your house or leave your whatever place of work. So you might feel devastated at that time, but you will realize later that it was for your best and how it played an important role in your growth. So the next stage is the healing trench. So let's say that you took up a course and you began healing yourself in this stage. The name implies it feels like a healing trench. So even though you are in a trench, you are healing at that time. That is because you have recently lost a lot in your leveling up stage, and now you are in a trench. So as soon as you tell the universe consciously or subconsciously that you are ready to take control, that you are ready to heal and to let go of your unhealthy ego, the universe will show you everything that needs healing, right? The universe will be like, your wish is my command, and here is the list of things that you need to heal right now, sir or madam. And what happens is that that becomes one of the most difficult points of your life. There will be new and old health issues cropping up. So the big thing that comes up during that time is health issues, because we all have such stuck energy coming from past lives into the present life, and because so much time has passed, that energy has become hardened into our physical body. And when you begin telling the universe that you want to heal, all those will come up and being shown to you, so that you start looking for the medication or the healing that you want to take up to heal that. So ignoring or suppressing them at this point make things worse. So some people are not going to be conscious about it, and they are going to suppress that with either ignoring them or by taking pills that actually suppress symptoms rather than healing. So if you do that at this time, then things would get worse. They will spring up later on. So it is best to heal a health issue from the root, that is from the emotional aspect when it comes up. I'm talking about health issues that come up. So I'm not talking about any injury or something, New mental and emotional issues are going to show up as well, and it is important to seek professional assistance during this time. So not just physical but mental, emotional. One second. Excuse me. So new mental and emotional issues are also going to come up, and it is important to seek professional assistance during this time. That is why I always tell people when they are going through a spiritual awakening to always have a therapist, so that whenever they need assistance they can go to them, because it can be very, very difficult and lonely journey, and there can be things that can overlap. There can be mental illness that can overlap spiritual issues. So very well needed. Certain situations might arise where the people in your life will reveal their own true nature to you that they had hidden all their life. So you might be like, you have a best friend since 10 years and they have been your best friend all this time, and suddenly when you begin working on your spiritual side, you level up your life, and they didn't grow at the same pace, and they begin showing jealousy, or all of a sudden their behavior changes towards you. That is because they are not at the same level of consciousness as you, and it is time to drift apart, or it is time to talk to them and have them also hop on this journey. So if they are not able to hop on this journey, they are obviously going to drift apart, and that is okay. So there may be heartbreak, lack of support, and betrayal from the people closest to you. Yes, what is buried comes up, exactly. So you will feel uncomfortable in environments that are no longer meant for you, such as your home, your place of work, communities, groups of friends that you are in, or activities that you engage in. So you might also be engaging in certain activities, like you might be hanging out with a group of friends, gossiping, or doing something else, and suddenly you're like, no, I don't resonate with that kind of thing. I should stop gossiping and I should spend that time better on self-reflection or something like that. You just start changing your activities and your environment. So your diet may change as your body and mind tell you what is good for you and what is not. So once again, your body will also start rejecting food that is not good for you. So for some people, now I don't say that you should have non-veg or not have non-veg and all of those things, because you have to let your body dictate. You have to let your body tell you what it wants and what it doesn't, according to your level of consciousness and according to where you live is also important. So your diet changes as your body and mind tell you what is good for you and what is not. So that happened with me and my husband. At first we came to know that dairy wasn't good for us, because we became lactose intolerant all of a sudden, both of us. So we stopped having dairy milk and also other milk products. We shifted to vegan milk, and then that already had happened with non-vegetarian food for me. Whenever I had it, I didn't feel good. So it keeps happening, and now the last straw was my body telling me that you need to begin with intermittent fasting, because I was gaining a lot of weight and also having hair loss and infections and all of those things. All of those things are classic example of diabetes, even though I don't have diabetes. And so I was like, okay, maybe that is insulin resistance. And I was shocked to know that insulin resistance actually starts after 25 years of age, and you only come to know when it becomes diabetes at the age of 40-45 or something. So start caring for your body after 25 like it's old. Just start caring. So it's not a coincidence that products that harm animals are not good for us. It's God's plan. Yes, because I'll give you a scientific thing behind that is, if you take your DNA and if you take a pig's DNA, there is 99% similarity. Only 1% of that changes in the DNA make you a human being. So you're essentially eating yourself. And not even if you ignore the emotional and all of that aspects of animal diet, you have to take into consideration that, and also the antibiotics that are injected into them and the conditions that they live in are not good at all. So you don't want to put all that in your body, and also the time it takes for the transportation and storage, it's already rotten by the time it gets to you. So don't bother. Right? So again, I told you, your diet changes as your body and mind tell you what is good for you and what is not. So try it. Try living non-vegetarian for 1 month and see if it improves your body, or if it does not improve your body, or something else happens. And also, always always talk to your doctor about it. Don't do it all of a sudden, because sometimes when you change your diet all of a sudden, you may fall sick. So whatever is good for your spiritual progress will persist and become larger regardless of how you feel about it. So whatever is good for your spiritual progress will persist and become larger. So if you are ignoring something, if your diet is making you feel worse but you are still ignoring it, it will become larger and larger and larger until you actually see it. So start seed activation stage after later years. Actually, yes, after after the beginning stages are over, after you've spent a few years or few months over there, for some people star seed activation stage does happen, and it doesn't happen with everybody. That is because they haven't been consistent on their path, is what I feel. Anyway, so you may react to these situations out of your ego. So you may be like, no, but I am from so and so place, I cannot change my diet or whatever. I am from a family who eats 24/7, so I cannot all that attachment to your ego you can let go at this point and do what is good for you. And if you still persist on your unhealthy ego, then obviously it is going to show you the results, and in a way that is very big. So regardless, if you're actively working on your intuition, you will be guided to make the best decisions for yourself. So all this while, if your intuition is good, if you listen to your intuition, then you will know that yes, it is time to change something. This period of the healing trench is extremely important for your spiritual journey. It may become the most difficult period of life for most people, because there is just so much to heal about yourself in this time, and there will be some very big life changes happening. This can be the most difficult period of life for some people, and it can be also very traumatic. So your progress is determined by whether you choose yourself to make choices, or you fall back into old habits, belief, actions that led you to betray yourself in the first place. So once again, when we are going through it, we might tend to fall back into our old habits, our old habits where we used to betray ourselves. You will be time and again tested. You will sometimes betray yourself and sometimes choose yourself. And in those places where you betrayed yourself, you will experience a lot of dissatisfaction, frustration, and you can make that choice now, or you can make that choice later. So you will always have to keep yourself first in your choices. So as you begin choosing yourself in all the spheres of your life, you are then faced with further challenges to make more choices from a higher perspective and gradually dissolve your current and unhealthy ego. So again, healing happens in layers, right? So when you make one choice, you step up a step, you step up the ladder. So at that point, you will have new set of challenges, new set of decisions you have to make. And when you step up once more, you again see a new set of challenges. So that keeps happening. You will have forgiven people, moved on from a lot of things, become much calmer, let go of the need to control, healed from a lot of issues, learn to regulate your systems, learn to communicate with the universe, higher energies, and much more at this point. So if you've been learning continuously, if you've been working on yourself continuously all this while, you will be having all these skills, and that they are very good life skills to have. Some people will spend years in this healing trench, and that is normal because we have so much to heal, right, before they can grow their way out. However, for others, it takes a short while to heal. Some people might be working on their spiritual selves in their previous lives, and they don't have as much to heal in this life. So they might be very fast in their progress, and I've seen that too. I have heard about a child that was 7 years old who attained enlightenment somewhere in South India. And so that only happens because you've been doing the work in your past lives. So a lady of 20 years can be wiser than someone who is 60 years old, right? Again, the same thing. So this period is about going from minus to zero. So it takes a short while to heal depending on what needs to be healed and how they proceed and their life path. So it also depends on their life path. Some people's life paths are not to ascend, but to be here and do some work, right? So it depends on the life path as well. So this is about going from minus to zero, meaning you were at minus before. Now you're coming to the point of zero. You still have to go to the positive side. So next stage is the calm after the storm. So there are still 2 stages left after this one. So the calm after the storm is after the storm has passed, you feel as if you are cruising along the journey of life. You feel calm most of the time. You cannot feel calm all of the time, right? In the times when you don't, you know how to regulate your response and return to equilibrium. So I also have anxiety sometimes, but the difference, because anxiety is normal, that is your body protecting you from danger, from perceived danger or actual danger. Anxiety can be very helpful when you are actually in danger out there, right? But in times when there is no danger and you still feel anxious, you now know how you can regulate your response and return to equilibrium without harming yourself or other people, right? So someone says Palladian, sorry I don't know your name, Palladian Andromedan Sirian connection revealed. Yes, so these things are revealed when you begin exploring yourself, right? By the way, I have a very good suggestion. If you are on a spiritual journey, you should have a diary, a dedicated diary for just yourself. I have one where I write about myself, my past lives, who I am, what my values are, my priorities, my likes, the things that I don't want in my life, the things that I want in my life, and also my soul origins. Where have I come from? Where have my soul come from? And what are the properties of those people? And how do you come to know all these things? You come to know all these things by deep self-exploration through various means. I'm having ear ringing right now. My ears are ringing. So then in the times when you don't know how to regulate your response, by now you may have gone through a lot and your life may be significantly better than it was in the previous stage. So the calm after the storm is when your life is significantly better, right? You might have moved places, started a new business, or gotten a job that you love. You might be studying a subject you love, or achieving life goals one by one. You may have met people you resonate with, or you may be cruising in sweet solitude. Doesn't matter, right? Regardless, you enjoy your own company and you don't get bored by yourself. So the sign of a spiritually advanced person is when someone doesn't get bored by themselves. And that's me from childhood. I never got bored even when I was alone, and people always found that very creepy. Anyway, so you may have learned some spiritual practices, healing modalities by now. You may have also hired practitioners to assist you with your healing. Perhaps you are now clearer on your purpose and what you want in life. There may be a sense of general direction in your life. Maybe you keep a journal, again, make lists or make vision boards. The healing process is still ongoing during this stage. So the healing never ends. At all stages, healing is continuing. It's in the background. So you may still encounter challenges along the way. Yes, challenges are also always going to come. As you proceed from a higher perspective rather than from an individual ego, you become better and better at handling these challenges. So I learned something from a YouTube video. It was from Vishen Lakhiani, and he was talking about mature desires and immature desires. So mature desires are those that come from your inner knowing, your inner wants. What do you want to do in life? You can say, I want to serve people, or I want to express my art. Those are mature desires. So if you pursue your career in mature desires, you're going to be happier and more successful in life. Immature desires are those that are imposed by your parents, your family, your society, and the things that you think that you should do, right? And in our lives, we are taught the complete opposite. We are taught that doing what the society wants from you is mature, and doing what you want is immature, right? That is completely out of this world thing that I heard. So in those cases, you should proceed from a higher perspective. So when you are in the calm after the storm, you are looking at your own life from a very high perspective. You are no longer always operating from an individual ego, right? So you can look at your life like, okay, so Rio, she likes serving people, she likes spiritual stuff, she likes helping people with her knowledge, she likes creativity, she likes to solve problems. So what should I give her next? Right? You're like that. You are not like, okay, what does auntie wants from Rio, right? It's not like that. So upwards and onwards, next stage, which is while you are still healing, you are much better at this stage than you were at the start of this process, right? You now manifest your desired experiences one by one. So manifestation might start from the second or third stage of spiritual awakening, but when you are upwards and onwards, you will see that things some things happen very fast. For example, I'll give you a story. So for me, I have manifested so much already. I cannot tell you, this whole house that I'm sitting in, my husband, and other things in my life, everything is so called manifested. And there are big things, there are small things, but now at this stage I'm able to manifest small things very, very fast. So it's like one day I was just sitting and thinking. I used to do PLRs before without any device in my hand, and I was just starting out at that time, so I didn't have the script in my mind. I didn't learn it yet, so I was like, it would be good to have an iPad in my hand. I wasn't even thinking about an iPad, any kind of big screen tablet that is not heavy in my hands, to just look at the script every now and then when I need during the session, and also to take notes. It would be nice to also record the voice of the client in that iPad. I was just thinking like that, and I didn't tell that to anybody, by the way. The next day my husband comes home with an iPad who like, he was gifted by his boss. So his boss gifted him an iPad the very next day, and I was like, what just happened? So things like that happen a lot to me, very, very fast. So that is when you are in upward and onward stage. So while you are still healing, you are much better at this stage than you were at the start, and you manifest experiences one by one. Some occur instantly while others take time. So some can also take time. That is because you still haven't grown to be that person that can hold that manifestation properly, right? But you are not frustrated about that. If it happens, it's okay. If it doesn't happen, then also you're okay. You are fulfilled regardless. And it's okay to have days when you are not happy also. It happens in cycles. You do have cycles all the time. So you may be working on your energetic and psychological blocks. You communicate with the universe, higher beings, God, angels, deities who guide you at every step. You believe in yourself as much as you might believe in a higher power. So even though your angels and guides are guiding you, sometimes you are also like, no, but I don't want to take this decision. You might be making that decision from a healthy ego or from an unhealthy ego, but you still are like, no, I want to make that decision. It's okay, you can still go through with it and learn something, and then come out the other end with more conviction for what you really want, right? So you feel one with the universe and have many spiritual experiences. Miracles and signs become the norm for you. That is like an everyday thing for my husband. I don't ask for signs anymore because I know everything. I've been supported and all of that. But my husband, he still deals with many anxieties, and he always asks for signs, and he gets them like anything. Like, signs are just being thrown at him like anything. And he always keeps asking them. So they become the norm for you, right? Though you don't depend on them because you've developed personal power. So perhaps my husband still has to develop some more personal power, but you don't depend on them, right? So through recollections of past lives, spirit communication, reading books, following awakened people, channeling, astrological readings, psychic readings, self-reflection, and experiments, you discover new dimensions of yourself. So once again, when I talked about how do you come to know these things about yourself, by doing all these things. You don't have to do everything at once. Go step by step. Try exploring your astrology. Now, also choosing an astrologer is also a big thing, because not everybody is that learned, and not everybody is able to understand what astrology actually is. It's not a predictive tool. It's not something to make you fearful to do something. So if you want to really talk about it, you can DM me. So at this point, you feel inspired to share about your knowledge, experience with others. Choosing to help others is your choice. However, you are under no obligation to do so. So when you're at this point, you may be like, I want to teach others the same thing. And you might choose to do that, and that's good, that's okay, but you are under no obligation to do so. And even the decision to become a teacher also comes with its own set of new learnings. Okay, so you have to begin learning from the perspective of a teacher now, caregiver, healer, coach, non-profit worker, or a business person. So it depends. If you're working from non-profit, then you have a different set of learnings. If you are working as a business person, then you have a completely different set of learnings to do, all the while balancing your life as a human as well, right? So it is a big commitment. So as you evolve, you learn to balance your higher dimensional existence with that of the human one, right? So someone says 111222, yeah, we see all these numbers and they actually can mean something. And one personal story, when my father passed away, right after his passing, I started seeing 44444 everywhere, and when I googled it, the first sentence I saw was that a loved one is looking at you and is telling you that they are nearby. I was like, okay, some you can say some support. I don't know what that word is not coming in my mind. Anyway, so repetition of phases is the last phase. Repetition of phases because it never ends. So spiritual journey never ends. Whatever you experienced through this whole cycle will happen once again in a different way once you level up. So being upwards and onwards is not the end of your spiritual journey. Everything in life exists in cycles. Each phase described above will repeat itself in your life as you level up. However, when you encounter these phases after gaining some spiritual knowledge, you can spot these changes more easily and take action accordingly. So if you have gone through some kind of spiritual education at this point, up till this point, you will know that okay, I am again going through an ego dissolution. So that happened with me in 2022. Big ego dissolution happened once again. I thought that I am done with it, but no, big ego dissolution once again happened. So you have to be conscious of it, that oh, I am going through the cycles once again, right? So existential questions will again arise as your current reality is questioned once again, as the new identity you got so attached to gets shaken up. You will once again experience ego dissolution, right? For me, it is more pronounced because I have Pluto in my 10th house, and that means that I will have to go through many ego dissolutions in my life and many career changes, many changes of direction. And before I used to be very, very resentful of that, but now I am open. I'm like, okay, that just means new experiences, be excited for that. So you will experience health issues and life-changing breaks once again. In this process, you will learn or even be forced to let go of your ego identity and surrender to the natural flow of life. So the key is to understand that this is a lifelong journey and we have to keep learning, flow with the phases, learn to let go and heal our deepest blocks whenever we can to finally build the kind of life experience that we desire. Everything we do in life is spiritual, even our bad tendencies. Everything we experience and do comes from our subconscious mind, which I have explained in great detail in the later chapters of this book. So self-awareness helps us heal and rewire the subconscious mind to improve our life experiences. So why are we doing this? We are doing this to improve our life experience, and then perhaps if you choose to serve or choose to teach, then the life experience of others, right? So your deepest desires are guiding you. Pay attention to them. And that is the end of chapter 2. Right? So what are your deepest desires? They are the ones guiding you on your chosen life path. And if you choose to ignore them, then you're going to go through all this difficult time in order to come back to the same point where you actually have to begin the very first time. So why not go with them now, right? So this is my book. This is how it looks like. This is not for resale. This is because this is an author copy. So I'm very good at writing, not as much as at speaking. Speaking is not my best thing, but writing is. So this book has been channeled. I would say 90% of this is channeled. The rest 10% is the knowledge that I gained, and I will answer one question I got about the book. So that question was, do you write in a flow, or do you measure, when to write and when not to write? So actually it is a combination of both. In the beginning of 2022, January, February, March, around March, I had already created my course, which by the way is not active right now. So I had created my course, and I wanted to actually make something more accessible to more people. And the course, I actually found it that I wasn't as ready to teach it in a verbal form, in the form of a course, because I found it to be very boring. Right? So I was like, okay, I need to redo this, but I just didn't have the energy of recording so many videos once again. So I wanted to make it so that I can write a book, and then I can make it accessible to more people, and then have them work with me directly if they want to on the spiritual journey, because that is going to help them more than having to watch 10 boring videos, right? So I began writing whatever was coming to my mind. Before, I didn't know what direction this book is going to take, so I just began writing, and slowly and steadily this thought was dropped into my mind around June, that I need to make it about psychic abilities. And the reason is that because in order to arrive at accessing your psychic abilities, you have to heal yourself and calm yourself and have all that knowledge, background knowledge, and go through all the spiritual awakening stages. So inadvertently, I would be teaching all of that before arriving to psychic abilities, right? So I wrote everything, and when I had to physically make myself sit down and write, because I have a problem of procrastination, and I wouldn't say it is a problem, but I do have it sometimes, and that is because my mind is mostly shut down from all the other things that I'm doing. So I had to make myself sit down and write. But once I began writing, it just kept flowing. Suddenly I would wake myself up from a kind of a trance-like state, and I would be like, oh, so I wrote 5,000 words, okay, like that. So then when I completed the book, and when I went back and reread the book to proofread it, I couldn't believe that this is me who wrote it. So I wouldn't say that it was measured completely, but most of it was the flow. But yeah, I had to make myself sit down to write most of the time. Okay, so that's all for now. And so the comment that says third eye and intuition, yes, third eye and intuition, all of that is covered under your psychic abilities. So I'll just quickly read out to you the contents. The contents are spiritual awakening. What is spiritual awakening? The process of spiritual awakening, the symptoms of spiritual awakening, things to do when you're going through an awakening, and other important points. Then we come to the prerequisites of accessing your psychic abilities, which are knowing about the nature of existence, why is accessing our psychic abilities important, brain waves and the subconscious mind, then how to access your subconscious mind, nervous system, the stored energy. Then comes the healing journey. The healing journey, releasing the energy of fear and trauma. By the way, all of us have that. Then how to calm and heal yourself. Then we come to the psychic abilities part, right? That is perception, psychic abilities, intuition, meditation and healing for intuition, enhancing your abilities. Then comes the interpretation part, which is psychic tools, your spirit team, psychic protection, psychic reading and interpretation. finally Mythbusters and FAQs and next steps. So I already have many things that I need to add into this book later on in another edition. So if you want to wait for that, you can, but if you buy the book right now, I will also be providing you with the updated edition for free when it comes out. So it doesn't matter if you want to get it now, you can get it. Go to the link in my bio, and if you go under ebook, you'll be able to see the book in PDF and Kindle edition. And if you want the printed copy like this one, you can order it from Amazon, and you can DM me for the link. And I have been making a few videos on YouTube as well. We are past the 200 subscriber mark, and I'm very grateful for each one of you to support me through this journey. And also everyone on YouTube has been leaving such wonderful comments and thought-provoking comments. And I am editing right now 2 videos. Those are editing heavy videos, so it will take some time for me to post, but they are very interesting, and I highly recommend you subscribe and turn on the notifications so that you know when I post it. And I'll give you a hint actually. So one video is going to be about Wednesday Addams, and the next video is going to be about Lemuria, things that I came to know more about Lemuria and Atlantis. So you want to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Okay, so I am very hungry now. I will go and have my brunch. Wishing you a happy Saturday, wishing you a very happy new year ahead, and I will meet you in lives like this again whenever I get the time. I'm always missing going on lives like this. So see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your time. Till then, bye.